What subjects should be taught in school but aren't? Critical thinking. It gets a ton of lip service and is pretty vague. But I don't get why things like logical fallacies, cognitive biases, and the related are not explicitly taught. They would be useful in nearly any subject too. Basic adulting skills. How to budget. What credit means. Why to save for the future. How to pay bills. Assets versus liabilities. Goal setting. How to get a job. Law. Just so people know the rules and the rights they have. Local laws and ordinances. How to file income tax. What is money? What is credit and how it works? Proper sex ed. Even in very progressive schools they still gloss over a bunch of topics. Lesbian, gay sex, and how to actually protect yourself from STIs. My school did. We talked about sex, gay, lesbian sex, how to get tested for STIs, the genderbread person, lube, condoms, IUDs, consent, etc. Our teacher also answered any questions we had. My school also has a gay-straight alliance club. My schools were legally required to tell students that AIDS can pass through pores in condoms, and handed out little cards to sign promising to be virgins until marriage. And this was at the best middle and high schools in my city. Medical repair in U, the art of first aid, wilderness survival, and animal socialization. Critical thinking. Urban survival skills, aka what to do if you end up homeless. I feel like this would be a major confidence boost for a lot of people. Knowing that whatever happens, they have the skills to stay alive and get back on their feet. Programming. They should teach ethics in high school. I think a broader philosophy class that touches political, moral theories would be great. Drug harm reduction. Instead of usual propaganda, say no to drugs, it could save lives. My 8th/9th grade health teacher went out of his way to teach this. Lost both his brothers to accidents including drugs. It wasn't required and the other health class didn't learn it. Some schools don't have sex ed. My last Catholic high school had at least 3 pregnant teens at my time there. My school had those condom reps come in and teach us how to use them, monsieur. They had a replica penis thing. The girl who volunteered to put the condom on the wood ironically fell pregnant the next month or so. Auto repair, budgeting, firearm safety, fishing, hunting, survival stuff. Mechanic here. Basic things like oil changes and tire changes, absolutely. Anything beyond that and no. I spent half an hour today on fucking a mess someone made trying to change a headlight. The rest. Also absolutely. Mandatory economics classes. They had that at my high school. Couldn't graduate if you didn't take an economics class as a senior. They should do a week camping experience where they give you a crash course on things you need to know to live away from your parents. Basically go somewhere as a class and they have to do everything themselves. With guidance. How to cook. How to do the laundry. How to do basic sewing. DIY repairs. Deal with roommates. Etc. etc. I think it's more engaging than sitting in a class where you're graded. It's basically a field trip the kid would be excited for. You could also give kids a budget or equivalent to teach them how to budget for themselves. Personally, it would be useful if I experienced something like that before moving out. Emotional stability, compassion, equanimity, empathy. Canadian here. I wish they taught the laws of Canada. I wish they taught more about Canadian politics. I wish they taught more pragmatic job-ready skills as opposed to making those hard to get in. Elective courses. Working for a bitchy boss 101. I already got that class. It was called Dealing with My Fucking 7th grade social studies teacher. Budgeting. That class was called Math. Financial literacy. General house maintenance. Statistics and probability. The only high school math I use every day. Imagine the dramatic decrease of phony studies once most people understood causation versus correlation. The reduction in gambling, and the subsequent inability of politicians to manipulate statistics. Ah, what a world to live in. Researching online 101. Namely, how to sift through credible and non-credible sources online. There is so much information out there. Much of it is biased, divisive and difficult to tell fact from fiction. Teaching students how to effectively navigate this complex array of information for objective truths and facts will not only enrich their learning in points of view, but it help the country guard against malicious and hostile entities trying to spread disinformation. Sword fighting. I will never forget the look on my engineering teacher's face when he learned I was a fencer. He was obsessed with it and we'd talk all class about fencing, which I enjoyed because I was alone in the front row. Use of household products and what they are not for. Coding and something like creativity, improvement, yoga, or at least some sort of meditation where you learn to center yourself. Data science and investing in the stock market. Statistics, ethics, coding. Girl I went to school with died at a festival after taking ketamine while drinking. I'm not sure exactly how she died. I know it had something to do with mixing the substances. Might not have made a difference, but if we would have been taught harm reduction with drugs instead of just being told they're evil, maybe she might have known to at least take it easy. Ketamine alone will whack you. Humor. More vocation-centered subjects. I also feel that, at least for teenagers, there should be some way to have them always start their school mornings with a half period of PE, featuring just stretching and light exercise. It'll help to wake them up physically and mentally without pushing them too hard. First thing, more than one language. As for example, here in Germany you have to learn English, but French is optional, and honestly it's stupid. Like, why? Just make us learn it? And that is the reason I never learned French, because it was optional. It's worse over in America. In my school, you start a language in 8th, 9th grade. If you didn't get an 85% in English, you have to wait till 9th. And you only have 4 languages, 3 of which are spoken still. The only class taught by a native speaker is German, and that and Latin are the only classes you actually learn the language. In French, she expects you to be able to understand French very easily, and I have no clue what happens in Spanish other than you watch movies and she talks about all her cool vacation. Cooking and urban gardening. Media consumption. I swear we had something like this in middle school decades ago, but it seems no one teaches it, or learns it anymore. It can't really be helped since so many people need condensed versions of current events in order to continue with everything else in their lives. Most of the time, people can't just sit down and watch a 6-hour Senate meeting. Nor does everyone like to. Honestly, it's getting to the point where no information is reliable, no matter who says it or where it came from, monsieur. Some sort of emergency behavior program, monsieur. Actually teaching people to listen to the government when something like COVID-19 is around. Self-respect, ethics and basic economics. Current affairs, logic, critical thinking. Computer programming for sure. In my opinion, they should teach things like critical thinking and decision-making. Also, they should include things like gay history into regular history classes. It wouldn't hurt. How the government and voting works. I would have no idea if my maths teacher didn't halt their lesson plan on election day last year in Australia to explain how preferential voting works. It's a shame because people's lack of knowledge about it is pushing Australia further and further towards the two-party nightmare that the USA has. Common car repair. How to change oil, tires, finances. My 5th grade class used to have a 3-day field trip where you'd have a job and got paid and could buy things. It was really cool. You got on your normal bus to go to school. Then you got on another bus to go to the training area. At the end of the day, you took the bus to get back to school and another to get back home. My class worked for a radio station, sponsored by a local radio station, and I was the bookkeeper. I remember remarking to my teacher that it wasn't fair that the manager got paid more but was literally just standing around, not working. He laughed for a bit and explained that that's kind of what managers do sometimes. I asked if I could write fake numbers on his check so he'd get paid the same as the rest of us. He laughed harder and told me not to become a bookkeeper when I got older. Good advice. I hated that job, lol. We had to buy lunch, but after that, we could buy whatever we wanted from the other stores. Other classes worked at other stores. There were salesmen and cashiers and such. We had 15 minutes breaks and lunch breaks. And each store was mostly function. Our store actually played music over the training area and people could call from their work area or come over on their break and request songs. If I had stayed in that school district, I would have been slated to go through something similar but more real. Bills, rent, etc. In the 8th grade. Apocalypse survival, money management class, how to manage credit cards, practical skills. I went to a poor rural school. Poor in education. The state and federal government threw money at the school, they just wasted it on a new football field, high-end computers and laptops, administrative costs, wage increases. Keep in mind this is a cheap area to live in and the average teacher made 3x the median wage. And pretty much anything but something that could help teaching. They still shut down our shop class because of cost cutting. Home economics was also cut down to a book-only class even though right behind us was a full kitchen. I would have liked to learn in high school. Framing, woodworking, cooking, plumbing, house wiring, working on cars and engines and gardening. I think these are all skills that would help in life. Saves you hundreds of thousands of dollars not having to hire someone or pay a mechanic to work on your car. Social skills. Psychology is the closest thing to that honestly, but a hands-on kind of social skills, like putting it into action. This would be great for many introverts and stuff. Only problem is that it would be hard to mandate it, and even if they could, kids can easily slip out of stuff like that. Sometimes cause of teachers, or they just don't care. I have friends that won't get jobs, even though it should really help them get out of their shells more. I've only been working part-time for a little while, so I can't say firsthand how effective it is. But I'd still be willing to bet it would be handy. Stop teaching French and German. They're functionally useless to almost all students and they don't give a shit because they'll never use or even practice them. Teach a Slavic language instead. Kids will actually be able to practice and use that with friends and their friends' families. And for the other one, teach household financial management and how tax works, how pay slips work, banking, savings, investment, etc. Agreed on the Slavic languages thing. It would never be politically acceptable to adopt it as a widespread policy though. Now our kids have to learn Polish. WTF. I get the knee-jerk reaction, but fuck. At least they're learning a language they can expect to use. It makes *way* more sense than French and German for the vast majority of kids. It's just a pointless time sink. I'd say do away with humanities too. Lump the important parts of it into history class, but I'm aware there's valid arguments not to. Classical civilization or Greco-Roman studies as a standalone AP history elective. It's not what subject should be taught, it's that what we're being taught is being taught badly. First fix the mirror, then do your makeup. Meditation. It's cheap to teach, easy to learn, and comes with a lifetime benefit of happiness among a host of other benefits. I'm French and I think we should learn real English. French as well, but lucky enough to have learned English abroad. I think the main problem with the way the system is set up in France is that students are constantly corrected, and sometimes mocked, for their mistakes by their teachers. Therefore they quickly give up on trying to improve, because who doesn't get frustrated when they can't articulate what they think without getting corrected 5 times? Plus, nobody likes to feel inadequate. Of course, the shitty accent of most teachers teaching English doesn't help either. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Although I'm also lucky to mostly get teachers who studied abroad, but now in Premier I gotta really shitty teacher who has an accent and that I sometimes have to correct. Double that up with a fucked up time schedule that led to my class having only 1 hour instead of 1.5 hour of English. But thanks to YouTube, I watch a fuck ton of English content, so now I'd say I'm fluent, or at least 90% fluent. In fact, now I watch more English content than French. Petite fun fact, rien que pour toi. C'est le collège en forme, je parle tellement bien anglais que ma professeur. Un bon professeur de qualité. Me disait que je devais avoir un niveau de BAC en anglais. Mes parents étalement me disait que je devais faire traducteur. Sauf que j'imagine que tu penses comme ça si vous que t'as étudié à l'étranger. Je pense comme en anglais quand je parle anglais, c'est-à-dire que les mots que j'entends, je les comprends naturellement. Je comprends directement leur sens sans avoir besoin de les traduire dans ma tête. Comme si on me parlait français quoi. Donc je suis en introduction du coup carrot. Good for you. Keep watching English stuff, and keep slamming it in class. Sorry to hear about your cut hours, shitty teacher though. And don't listen to the haters who insist you speak French or with a French accent. You're not showing off, they just have no clue what they're missing. Pour le trad. Je comprends complètement. Je parle anglais depuis que j'ai 5 ans. Complètement bilingue depuis mes 12 ans. Et j'ai réellement commencé à me démerder correctement introduction vers les 20 ans. Après être rentré en France et avoir commencé à traduire des trucs régulièrement pour une famille, amis, et encore, même j'ai toujours Google Translate over que déjà traduis un truc. Pour trouver le synonyme correct qui correspond bien au mot que je veux traduire, donc tkt. Cover just dire que chaque langue est un système formé pour toi. Tu es en très bonne voie pour devenir bilingue si tu ne l'es pas déjà. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.